Now, what is there in an abstract? And tell me how much time I have.
8:20.
Oh, good. So we'll keep going. Don't mind the speaker in the background. We'll keep going. So what does an abstract consist of? Well, just so you know, as we said, it's a paragraph. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, is that this paragraph may be the toughest thing you have to write. Because in one paragraph, you have to take the complex information of your research, because you're going to be doing this for your paper, but for purpose of our assignment, you're going to be reading a paper. You have to take maybe 3,000 words or so, and you've got to condense it down to 150 words. And it's important that you know how to do this, because this is expected. Every article I could look at in those 3, 4, 5 journals, and in the background, all these journals, there's no possible way I can read every article. I have to know how to read an abstract, which means I have to know how to write it. So it's as we said, a one-paragraph abstract. And it doesn't put any new information. The only information you can use to write the abstract is what is in the paper. So it has to condense it down. Now, what is there that goes in it? An abstract is pretty simple. It's a paragraph. The first thing you've got to do is, within a sentence or two, you should tell me what the topic is. Like, it's about glaciers, which are really important in understanding the water flow in the Himalaya basin areas that we could be there. I should also know, what is your research question? Now, you're working on that, or you have been working on it in class, but my research question or hypothesis, I should know what it is that you were trying to do with this paper. And again, any article you look at, you're going to see that they follow this format. Then you're going to go into, so we have 1, 2, 3, you're going to talk about your methods. What is it that you're going to do? Again, 1 to 2 sentences, 1 to 2 sentences, 1 to 2 sentences. It's very concise that you have there. Your methods, like we did an ANOVA analysis of this, or we did a regression plot comparing rainfall patterns to temperature. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. You got to be able to say it succinctly within 1 to 2 sentences. Once you have the methods, well, you probably have done it. You should then talk about your results. Results. What did you find? Yes, there is less rainfall when there's more temperature. Or maybe there's more rainfall when there's less temperature. I don't know. You've got to put it down. And what does that mean? What are your conclusions? And so, this is what you have. And if you look at it, you may be doing 5 sentences, 10 sentences, whatever it is. It's not going to be the best example of a perfect paragraph, but it is going to be a paragraph what you're doing. So, when you do this, one of the things that you might consider is I should be able to pull this out by looking at each section of my paper and coming up with a summary statement or two, or highlighting those key things, and then taking and putting it there to get it. So, to emphasize this, 1 to 2 sentences for each of these topics. Now, one of the things about this that gets very difficult is you'll read the paper, you say, okay, I know what the topic is, I know what the research question is, their methods, this could be tough to do, the results, is I have to get it down there. So when you start to do this, the first thing you do when you write the abstract is just really write the abstract. Now, the first time you write it, it may be more than 150 words that you have to do that we've asked you to do. It may be 300 words. I have this happen when I do it, except some of the abstracts I submit do it by characters, which means choosing between one word or the other can make a difference how many characters they get. So when you start with this, the first thing is to write it out, then reread it, and decide what's not relevant, and don't mind the phone, okay, we'll hang up on that, and decide what's relevant and what's not relevant, and start crossing out words. Use a thesaurus. Is there a better word that can convey what 3 words do that I can do with 1 word? Is there are there words that aren't really necessary? Is that a redundant statement? Is that doesn't really add anything? It's very tight writing, and it's very difficult to do. Now, you do this, you do have to write it grammatically correct. Generally, the rule is that we use past tense on this, and that's usually part of what we do when we write it. We also oftentimes will not use, and this varies again in style, which have Some of the journals that I use we did this, we did that. Generally, in the Earth space science, is we won't use I or we. We would avoid using any personal pronouns of any sort, and written in a more, a little bit different way. But it is important to follow that, again, past tense and as we go through. So, again, one paragraph that you're going to write, 2 sentences on each. You're going to write it from the assignment you find in Blackboard, and you will find a full-blown article, an Earth science article, from which you're to write that abstract. Now, I don't want you to think that you should get everything from what I just talked about. One of the things that you will find attached to that assignment is a link to what's called Live Binders. And Live Binder, what you will find there is that I have put in some links in the Live Binder that do a couple things. One of them is a 2-page write-up that goes through, and I have part of that here, but it goes through all those steps that you have about doing it and suggesting some things about writing it. The other thing that is there is you'll find a link to what's called the Purdue OWL website, which is Online Writing Laboratory. This website is going to be extremely useful to you because it talks about APA format, which is the format that you have to use to do citations of quotes, how to put in your bibliographic references, and that comes up more in a later in one of the other programs that we have. But if you go there, there is an online PowerPoint that will take you through in a 10-slide sequence, step by step, the things to consider in writing an abstract. I encourage you to do that. The other thing that's there is there's an example of an abstract for you to look at, in addition to what you can find in the journal articles. There's also a link to what's called Science Buddies. It goes through how to do an abstract and one other article there. So in addition to this talk, which kind of sets you up about the importance of abstracts, I want you to go and look at some of those things, very short references in Live Binder that will help you. In Blackboard, go to the assignment, read the article, and submit a 150-word abstract that conveys this information as we talked about with this. And if there are questions, of course, you can talk to the course TAs or talk to the course instructors for any clarification. All right, get to it.